Hey guys, Gray here. Today we're reacting, first time ever, right? What everyone says, to Dimash's Story of One Sky. So I've already done a reaction to this piece already, as most of you probably know. I focus primarily on the vocals and not so much on the story or visual elements, because this is an epic piece in many different layers of the production and the artistic components that have gone into the creation of it, being that my skill set and expertise, very strong word to describe it, but my skills are in singing and music and composition and things like that. I felt that it would have been a very shallow and airheaded video to pretend to comment with any kind of authority or in anything that remotely resembled a constructive kind of way on what's going on with the rest of the piece. A lot of you didn't like that. Tough. I'm a singer. But after having a lot of discussion with you in the comments, I thought this would be really interesting for me personally. I think it would be really cool to just say what comes to mind in reaction to the visuals of this piece, and then we can start a discussion. So let's check this out together. I really hope that we can start some discussion on this, because I'm sure it's going to be fascinating. Pretty interesting so far. We start off drowning in the water, and it's a little boy drowning, obviously, and that kind of hints at, like, innocence to me. Typically, the water would be used to represent, like, weight or oppression or things like that. We get the impression that things are not okay, and it's delivered beautifully, very subtly, and it kind of just hints at the scope of what's going here. Without saying anything, without any music playing, with minimal sound effects, you get that impression right off the bat. There's this weight crushing down on the kid. Don't know how to articulate it, but it just sets up the scope of the piece really nicely before anything else comes in. Point two, I think, there that stood out to me is that it's really effective imagery to start with the drowning child, as shocking as it is to some people, but it sets up the piece nicely in that it kind of hints at the conflict that's coming, the pain, the suffering, and things like that. And yeah, again, I find that really interesting because it kind of delivers the message of the piece or sets up the themes of it without, how do I put it? A lot of things that try to make a big statement, they just beat you over the head with it brutally, and this has done nothing of the sort. We're a minute and a half into a 13.5-minute video. It's not nagging or anything like that. It's just hinting at what's to come and setting up the themes that are coming, which again, beautiful. It lays the groundwork for you as the viewer to receive that kind of message, that kind of tone. And yeah, braces you for what's coming next. It's really nice on quite a few different levels. It's also really effective to have the kid saved by another kid. It's not an adult that saves him. It's another innocent type thing. And, you know, there's no agenda. There's no, malicious intent behind it or something they're getting out of it. They've just done it because it's their friend and it's the right thing to do. And I think that's kind of represented by the hand grabbing when he comes back to life. That represents that connection, that whole point behind the piece. Dialogue, communication, understanding. Being connected with your fellow human beings, just an inherent good thing, and life comes from that. You know, all the good things in the world, peace, understanding, they come from just being connected and empathetic and resonating with your fellow human beings, and I like that a lot. It's really subtle, and it works really nicely. Not a word said, and that point's delivered beautifully. And it really underlies that there's a hopeful message to this, even though there's the conflict coming, which again, would kind of be represented by the water to me, and the kid's suffering, you know, drowning, dying, but it's really hopeful that he gets saved. And again, it's all down to that connection. It's the whole point. Just again and again, you're going to see that repeating, I'm sure. Also like to say, that's not exactly a visual thing, but the sound of the waves and like the kid's laughter and things like that, it's really beautifully done. It sets it up nicely to bring the music in without any kind of distracting audio sounds going on from the visuals that are delivering the tone of the piece. What's going on here and what's going to go on with the music next reinforces each other beautifully. The whole message and theme just gets reinforced. It's really nice. Let's carry on.
Believe what's happening at all. Vipers crazy, we report to fall. We are the reason we are causing all that pain. To the secret one that give us life. Billions of hearts, billions of cells and souls and dreams, billions of lives shouldn't ever turn to senseless horror, so tears and blood.
As a ruler, my task is to keep order and protect my country. But I don't deprive you of your freedom. The world is open for me, and I want to give it to you.
Can we balance all that of your regret? Our future, is it possible to say? So when all the crazy Bibles falling, we decide to stop the training. We decide to follow their light. We are making
Only in the hearts of the strongest. You must be strong to accept freedom and bring it to the world. United, we will enter every city, every house. We will lead everyone who is ready to start a new life. Anyone who resists will not find a place next to us.
Okay. The gist of the story is basically there's three kids, obviously. They're friends. And the girl falls for one of the boys. I believe it's the one that grows up into Dimash. The other one becomes the figure that's leading that war, you know, the conflict and all that stuff. It's pretty interesting with the necklace that the boy makes, because that necklace represents that friendship, that connection, that love, all of that good stuff. And you can tell right out of the gate, the other boy is very distant from that. He's disconnected from it. Dimash's character as a child actually has to give him the damn thing, like actually make him take it. Whereas the other two, they're completely connected, all good. But this causes some negative feelings and this causes some conflict in the other kid. And it leads to this. It leads to this war situation where, yeah, the guy is kind of seeking that connection, I think. He's seeking that love, connection, whatever, in his own way, but it's in a negative way, and it causes pain, it causes suffering, as you can see here with Dimash's character, where he's injured, he's wounded, he's hurt. He's starting to lose that connection because of the actions of this other kid. And that's juxtaposed really nice against the other boy, who, you know, is leading that war. He seems quite happy with it. He's talking it up like a good thing. He's convinced of his actions being good. It's fascinating. Let's carry on.
War is the way to unite people.
Yeah, case in point. He wants to unite people. He's not trying to be a bad guy. So there's a few really interesting things going on that I resonated with quite strongly, which is firstly the reference to Imagine by John Lennon. Big song about peace and love and connection, all that kind of thing. But I'm probably misinterpreting this a little based on my own experiences and personal biases, but what I took from that, because the immediate thing he does after that kind of sentence is sung and, he's resolved himself to the conflict, is he goes and starts shooting people. I think peace is brilliant, obviously, and compassion and understanding is absolutely something that should be sought between human beings and should always be the first thing you do in a situation of conflict, is try to understand and resonate with where the other person's coming from. Because all the conflict here is coming down entirely to the way those two beings, Dimash and his other friend, are seeking that connection, that whatever it is that they need to be fulfilled. They're going about it in their own way, and it's leading to a lot of conflict. But imagining peace is all well and good. Some people view things very differently from how you do, and their peace will be to cause conflict for you. Sometimes it is absolutely the right thing to do to stand up and fight for that, which is resonating with me here because it's exactly what Dimash's character does. He goes out, he starts shooting, he starts fighting, protect his family, protect his friends. Good people can end up doing really bad things in the name of doing good things, and it's sometimes tricky to tell who's right and who's wrong, or if we're all just idiots doing our best, trying to make the best of things on this planet. And yeah, there's a lot going on with that reference and the imagery here that highlights that issue pretty well. At least that's my interpretation anyway. I also really like how tightly Dimash's character is clutching that medallion, looking for that connection again, that love. I really don't know what other terms to put it in. That's what it is. You will hear it repeated a lot because that's what this whole thing is about. Connection to your fellow human being. He really struggles to maintain that connection there, is what I'm interpreting. And that contrasts really beautifully with how kind of proud and resolved the other character is in leading this war and causing this conflict. They're both really driven to do what they think is right. And the conflict's happening because they're not connected to each other. They're distant. They're not seeing each other's points of view, and it's caused all this pain. Let's move on again. There's some obvious religious imagery here that some of it will be a little over my head. I'm not a very religious man. It's powerful imagery nonetheless. Again, very obvious religious type imagery. And lots of different ethnicities marching together, which is interesting. That's interesting. Okay. So yeah, again, there's some things that I resonate with quite personally with this bit, as I kind of touched on a little bit in some of my comments on the last video. But and I don't know how to put this intellectually or articulately, so I'll just try to say it raw and then edit it down into a manner that sounds vaguely understandable. The bit that I'm really zeroed in on and focused on with this is there's a ton of destruction and horror caused by the actions of this other man, and what I find interesting is that parallels some of my experience with life, where I've had some experiences with some people that have caused a ton of destruction to the people around them. And they were aware they were doing it. And they were kind of convinced it was right because, plain and simply, they were feeling a lack of love and understanding in their lives. And what I find really intriguing is just how much power those kinds of people can have over people that don't have that lack. If you're a peaceful, relaxed, calm, understanding person, you can be completely blown away by the behavior of people that don't have that core emotional kind of stability. And I've seen it time and time again. I've been left reeling from a few things like that in my own personal life. So again, to see that represented on screen, yeah, touches a nerve personally. And I won't be going into details about some of that stuff because that'll get my channel demonetized instantly, I'm sure. But I'm resonating a lot with this emotionally in a lot of different ways. No matter what my face tells you, right? You won't see me making silly sex doll faces just for the clickbait thumbnail. But I resonate a lot with some of this personally and emotionally. So, next point. The cross and the Jesus type figure obviously hints that this is a miracle kind of birth. It's clearly Dimash's wife character holding the necklace again, that connection, that love, all these people which I assume are victims of the war and the conflict that are going on. They're all gathering together. And to me, that coupled with the religious imagery and the birth that's going on, it just hints that this piece is going in a bigger, stronger, bolder, whatever, more epic direction. I think that's setting up nicely the climax that's going to go on here, both visually and audibly. Just, you get the impression something really big is coming. And that's beautifully done to set things up. It's really cool. And the thing that I like most in this section of the song is the imagery of the bad man, big air quotes. He's crying, holding that necklace, which is really, really powerful, like possibly more than anything else. This is really powerful stuff. It's really effective. I like the fact that it highlights that the guy isn't just some weird Disney style villain. He's a human being. All this stuff that's going on, the pain, the suffering, the death that's caused, is coming about by the fact that he just doesn't have it in there. It really ties in beautifully with the text that's at the end of this piece. The whole point of the damn thing. Bad things happen in many different areas of life when we as people lose our ability to connect with, to communicate with, and to understand each other. Try to be compassionate, try to be understanding, and there's plenty of times in life where you should not exercise compassion towards someone. There are times where that's the case, as is represented here. But the fundamental underlying point is beautiful, and it's being executed beautifully from a visual perspective. We all need to connect and understand each other. So much pain can be avoided if we do. So, let's see where this is going. It's obviously leading somewhere big. Let's check it out together. Really powerful imagery. Gotta say though, how on earth would a regular army guy get to the general of the other army with no conflict? Minor detail. Beautiful. Horrific, but beautifully done. Awesome. Yep, fantastic. Dialogue, understanding, and the widespread promotion of a culture of tolerance, acceptance of others, and of living together peacefully will contribute significantly to reducing many of the economic, social, political, and environmental problems that weigh so heavily on a large part of humanity. So be nice to each other, for the love of God. Such a powerful message, and it's so interesting from a personal perspective to run a YouTube channel because I get to witness that conflict on a very low level. Like my last reaction video I did out of, love of these vocals and how beautifully they've been used to convey this message. That fascinates me as an artist to see someone convey such a powerful emotion and how they're using the technical things they've got, their singing, their songwriting, to convey that message. That's absolutely fascinating, and understanding that to me is a way of furthering my understanding of other human beings. It is absolutely just beyond words to describe how much I agree with this, how much I resonate with this on a personal level, and how fucking hilarious I found it when I did my last reaction video to this. And because I focused on the vocals, obviously I omitted these things for time and to keep the focus of the reaction. And I also figured this stuff goes without saying. There's nothing I can add constructively to a conversation about a topic this big by airing my own stupid airheaded thoughts about it, but here we are. And so I found it absolutely fascinating that on a message as big as this, and the specifics of it being dialogue, understanding, acceptance, etc., to see this conflict come to life because people that didn't like my focus on the vocals, people that were attempting to champion this message and spread positivity and understanding and all those wonderful things, most of them in wording it took the approach of, you didn't pay attention to that, you're a shallow asshole, which is just, fuck man, read the thing again. How could you miss that point? The words mean nothing if you don't put it into practice. The whole point of this is to understand people with different perspectives, or just try, use some compassion. Listen to other people. Don't just attack them. Don't use your own emotions. You're the bad guy. You're the bad guy in this scenario, in this piece. You're doing what you think and feel is right, but causing conflict on some level, hostility, aggression, belittling and diminishing other human beings. That's everything this piece is talking against. I don't get how you can lack that connection in that way while trying to spread the idea of it. I just don't get it. I just find it really, mind-blowingly interesting to be doing reactions to a piece like this and to see it in action on my own channel. It's just, words can't express it, guys. But anyway, the visual elements. Let's get back to that. So, his baby has the necklace. That kid has that love, that connection, just born into it. And that's wonderful. It hints that that kid's going to do a lot of things, a lot of cool stuff, and a lot of good things will come from it. Which kind of takes us back to the start of the piece. Those kids saving the life, there's hope. That's the whole point there, I think. There is hope. There's things that can be done in spite of all the horrors going on in the world. Point two I find really interesting here is I relate very personally to Dimash's character succumbing to that conflict and pain. And he loses that connection. He falls out of place with it, and he goes and he shoots his friend, which is tragic. But it happens all too often in the world on various different levels. And again, some of what I resonate with emotionally about this piece, and it's why I deliberately am not talking too much about my own personal experiences that I relate to this piece with, is I've been in a situation where I've had to have that debate in my head, where another human being's lack of ability to understand led to them doing some horrific things, and I was in a situation where I had to weigh up what I was willing to do to stop them. Very tricky to come out of that and still connect with your fellow human being. And so it affects me very, very powerfully to see that represented on screen in that manner. Because yeah, sometimes bad things happen and it just fucks you up. And it causes a cycle of bad things to keep happening, and it's tragic. Be good to each other. It's important. Even though there is conflict going on, and there always will be. So thank you very much. That was lovely. I really enjoyed checking that out and having a chance to look into stuff that I don't normally get the chance to do in my regular day-to life. I'm not a film guy. I don't really do visual stuff. My expertise, again, is in singing, it's in song composition, so I'm loving the opportunity to open some discussion with you guys so you can help educate me and improve my knowledge and understanding of these elements, because they can be used so effectively, as is evident with this video. It's a beautiful piece. I know I keep repeating that. I don't have any smarter way of putting it. It's wonderfully done, and I'm really pleased to have gotten the chance to react to it twice and talk about it with you guys. So thank you again. I hope you all have a lovely day, and I hope to see you in the next reaction video very soon, and catch you in the comments and in a comment replying video to talk about this more. Take care till then, guys. Have a nice day. Bye.